The electric vehicle market in China, the world's largest auto market by a mile, we're talking 35% of all cars sold worldwide, is embroiled in a relentless price war that has been reshaping the industry. We thought that price war had kind of come to its conclusion last year. I mean, EVs are now cheaper for most cars in China than internal combustion. But then this year, BYD, well, they reignited it in an enormous way by reducing prices by between 10 to 34%. There was uproar, there was furor in China. Really, the government, they called a meeting and they said it had to stop. Hello, my friends. Welcome to the channel. I'm Sam Evans. You're watching the Electric Viking. Great to have you with us. I have a few new interviews up on the channel coming very soon to our YouTube member section. Would love to have you as a member. Obviously, it helps support the channel and help me keep this going. I'll put a link in the description below. In a recent interview with Bloomberg, Stella Lee, the executive vice president of BYD, she called the situation not sustainable and not healthy, which was ironic considering BYD's part in part in actually making this all happen. She pointed to the cutthroat competition where rivals are rushing to release cheaper, often larger, more efficient, more affordable models mere months after BYD's launches, undercutting BYD's prices by $1,400 to $2,800. So she's blaming other manufacturers. She's saying it's not BYD's fault, even though BYD are essentially crushing everyone else. It's the fault of everyone else. BYD is continuing to thrive, though. This race to the bottom, she says, is rattling the industry, raising critical questions about profitability, innovation, and the global EV landscape. Rushing to the bottom is not good for automakers. And ultimately, the truth is, the automotive industry in China is blaming BYD. At a recent conference where BYD, Great Wall Motors, Geely, and other automakers were present, really BYD blamed all of them, and they're all blaming BYD. There's a huge divide now, and it doesn't look good. China's EV price war isn't a sudden flare-up. It's a multi-year saga fueled by fierce price competition and government policies. Since the early 2020s, automakers have slashed prices to capture market share away from legacy automakers, and it's working. And it's also driven EV adoption to record heights. By 2023, a major price war pushed EV penetration rates to 50% in some months, making China a global leader in EV uptake. But this growth has had a dark side. Profit margins have plummeted, with the China Automobile Manufacturers Association reporting an industry average of only 3.9% in the first quarter of 2025, down from 9% 10 years prior. The big difference, though, is the automotive industry worldwide has been reshaped by these automakers. New Volkswagens will use XPeng platforms. New Audis will use SAIC platforms. New cars being made by Nissan in China will be sold worldwide. Mazda, the same thing. The automotive industry is being completely reformed by these new car companies. The impact has been stark, though. Smaller EV startups are collapsing and going bankrupt under the pressure, while even established players like Great Wall Motors and Geely are saying the race to the bottom is hurting everyone. Consolidation is accelerating as weaker firms are acquired or they just fade away, leaving a handful of giants like BYD to dominate. The Darwinian shakeout, while boosting short-term affordability, threatens long-term innovation as companies prioritize survival over R&D. Now, if you're a big company, you can afford R&D. I mean, BYD has more employees than any other car company in the world. In fact, it has more than twice as many employees than Toyota. They can therefore afford a lot of money on R&D, and they are spending it, that's for sure. But the smaller players, they're having a much more difficult time. BYD has been a key instigator in this price war. leveraging its vertically integrated supply chain, producing over 90% of its batteries in-house, to slash prices while maintaining solid margins, around 20% in some months. In May 2025, it cut prices on 24 models by up to 34%, dropping the Seagull hatchback to an incredible $7,700. Sales soared, 15% growth in the first 4 months of 2025, securing 28.5% market share. They've never had this kind of market share before in China. But the strategy isn't without cost. After the latest cuts, BYD's stock tanked 10% in Hong Kong, raising $14 billion in market value as investors freaked out over sustainability. They can't see how this can end well. Stella Lee's candid remarks reveal the strain internally at BYD. We launch this model today, and 2 months later, our competitors launch a similar model that is bigger but priced cheaper, she complained. She acknowledges the need to survive, but warns that the cycle is unsustainable. Competitors, meanwhile, accuse BYD of squeezing suppliers and relying on debt, with Great Wall Motors chairman likening it to an Evergrande of the auto sector. Yet BYD's dominance persists, a testament to its scale and cost-cutting prowess. But there are some concerns, some very serious concerns in China, that BYD is silencing bloggers, YouTubers, people that are literally doing their jobs, going after hundreds, literally hundreds of content providers. As the Chinese market grows increasingly volatile, BYD is betting big on Europe, pledging a $20 billion investment to crack the continent's lucrative EV market. Models like the Dolphin Surf, which is an enlarged version of the BYD Seagull, priced at just over $23,000, have already outsold Tesla in some European segments. But Europe, well, it isn't China. Strict regulations, EU tariffs on Chinese EVs until they're built and assembled in Europe, which will probably happen soon, and consumer skepticism about quality and safety pose significant hurdles. Established players like Volkswagen and Renault are countering with their own affordable EVs, hinting at a price war potentially happening in Europe as well. Initially, that will be good for consumers. Cheap, affordable EVs will be massive and help drive EV sales. That said, EV sales growth in Europe this year has already been staggering, with 30% sales increases across the entire European bloc. Will BYD's low-cost strategy succeed in Europe, or will it spark another unsustainable race? The answer could reshape the global EV hierarchy. China's price war isn't an isolated phenomenon. It's a preview of what will hit the global car market. If BYD and other Chinese firms export their ultra-cheap Chinese EVs en masse, which are not just cheap, they're incredibly high quality, prices will drop worldwide, turbocharging adoption, but slashing margins for all automakers, leaving the weak ones to go bankrupt very, very quickly. In the UK, Chinese brands already hold nearly 10% of the EV market, but that number could increase to 50% within only a couple of years. Government policies have been a double-edged sword. China's generous subsidies and incentives have fueled EV growth, but also created an oversupply. That has intensified price competition, with more than 90 different electric car brands alone in China. Now, regulators are stepping in, urging an end to unsustainable tactics. But with players locked in survival mode, the market may need more warnings to stabilize, maybe more regulation. The bigger picture is innovation potentially at risk. The price war's short-term wins, cheaper EVs, broader adoption, cheaper cars for everyone, cleaner air. Those things are great, but they do mask a troubling long-term cost. As Geely's chairman warned, cutthroat competition could starve investment in technology, quality, and sustainability. If profits vanish, will the industry innovate enough to meet its climate goals? It's a good question. The current trajectory suggests a tipping point. Either the market consolidates into a few profit-driven giants or it collapses under its own weight. XPeng CEO predicts that those 90 car companies, those 90 EV brands, that at least 83 of them will go bankrupt within the next 5 to 10 years. BYD's story encapsulates this tension. Its growth, well, nothing short of remarkable. I'm pretty sure I've done more videos about BYD than anyone else on YouTube. But even its leaders are seeing the cracks. As the price war rages on, the EV industry is facing a reckoning. Will it emerge stronger, or will the race to the bottom leave it running on empty?